Hi everyone, welcome to the screencast for April 5th and heading into the second week of distance learning. All right, schedule for the week. Tuesday, I'm meeting with second and third grade. Wednesday, there's an optional meeting with paras if you're able to make that at 9:30. That's just a time for me to check in with you paras and touch base, see how things are going. Wednesday, I'm also meeting with fourth and fifth grade. And then there's a peer support meeting at 3:15 on Wednesday. That is optional. That's going to be led by Max, our Washburn therapist, and I'll talk more about that later. BLT meets on Thursday, as well as our wellness team, something else I'll talk about. And our K1 will meet with me at 2:30 on Thursday. And then Friday, we have off. This week, I embedded all of the Google Meet Hangouts linked into this screencast. So if you click on any one of those, if you're part of that, you will go right to the Google Hangout at that time. All right, distance learning. First week is down, and we are on the week two. Definitely felt, at least from my perspective, that things went better as the week went on. I don't think we had quite as many technical glitches at the beginning, but hopefully we'll continue to get better. I know this week we are adding on a second subject, adds a little bit more, so just be aware of that. And thanks for all you're doing to make this work. It is definitely a work in progress, and but we're doing it, so thank you. All right, moving on a little bit about Seesaw. I met with specialists last week. Just so everybody's on the same page, specialists will have their own Seesaw account. Students will be able to toggle between their homeroom classroom and the specialist account. So if you have questions about that, let Kathy know, let me know, and I can help explain that. I talked a little bit about technical glitches getting improved. We have one glitch that we are going to need to fix for, I believe it's just kindergarten and first, but I know Kathy will let you know next week. There will need to be a process of parents logging out of their students' iPads to change from classroom to family accounts. That will make it so that it's easier for everything to be seen. There is communication that's going out in multiple languages that's going to be sent out. So Kathy will be contacting classrooms that this affects if she has not already. So sorry about that. That's the only way that we can get to improving that. So just be aware of that. What I heard also about hyperlinks, they aren't always working. My understanding is Seesaw is working on this. Kathy, you might have more information on if that's been fixed, but just be aware that the district does know about that problem in Seesaw. All right, distance learning and technology. It is hard to believe that we've got done with our first week. Those first five days felt like 5 weeks to me, and I bet it did to a lot of you too. So I just want to go through a couple things. We know that this distance learning is new. It's changing based upon our needs, based upon what we're finding out. We as a district are trying to balance a number of different things as we go to distance learning. Equity, how do we make things fair so everybody has access? Capacity at home. Capacity could be multiple kids being on the internet at the same time doing their distance learning, and also tech know-how, not only for our teachers, but for our parents too. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out as we go on, and in the secondary level, they are working on that too. Right now, I've had a lot of questions about Google Hangouts, and just to clarify that, I've asked a lot of questions about this right now. If you as a class, with your class, want to do Google Hangouts to do it kind of as a check-in, how are things going, it's a great way to connect with everybody. If you want to do that right now, please do not do that more than a couple times a week, 1 or 2 times a week, no more than 20 minutes. Just because we're for a lot of different reasons of what I said above, there might be some kids that can't be part of it, and we want to make sure everybody's part of it. And just be aware of that. I included some different links on here at the bottom, data privacy fact. If you are doing some of these whole group things for a couple times a week, like I said, make sure that you are aware of what we're trying to do as a district. There's some information about data privacy. On this side, looks like I put the same link twice. Please use the district resources, and there's some different reasons for that. One, a little bit more security. although none of them are perfect, and liability coverage. If we're using district resources and something goes wrong, then the district is liable as opposed to us as individuals. If you're using other things, district will not accept responsibility or liability for that. So just be aware of that. If you choose to do Google Meets, Google Hangouts, here's a link that talks about acceptable practices, how to do that. I really encourage you to read that. I know some of this has been sent out already. And then I included a link here, communication to parents, acceptable use. My understanding that went out this week, just so that you're in the loop on that too. And finally, one of the reasons that we're trying to use district approved resources is there's other ones out there that are having a lot of issues. Zoom is a perfect example of where it's been hacked. Article here from NPR News talking about that. So while we all want to get to a point where we can communicate with all of our class as a whole group, we have to be careful and we have to make sure we're doing it right. So this information on this slide gives you some of the reasons and some of the expectations of what we're doing right now. So be aware of that, and if you have questions on that, please let me know. All right, Bloomington Meals for Kids. We all know that Kennedy and Valley View Middle are currently serving meals from 11 to 1 p.m. and a number of our pairs are helping with that. Thank you for that. We know that there's a need to have some other locations in other parts of the district. They are adding on locations at Westwood and Washburn. They are a shorter amount of time. As you can see, is from 11 to 11:30. It's a mobile location. Families will not come into the school. It'll be outside in the parking lot. My understanding is a bus will bring the meals there. They have a limited amount of meals, but families can come pick those up. Includes a hot lunch and cold breakfast with extra meals on Fridays to get through the weekend. So just be aware of that. I believe information on that has gone out to families, but feel free to share that with your families too. So I'm excited that we are looking at some areas of need in other parts of Bloomington besides just our East End. So that's a good thing. All right, I mentioned this at the beginning. We have a peer support opportunity on Wednesday at 3:15. This is optional and it is open to all staff. It's our goal. Our goal is to build strategies for ourselves and each other in order to best support our students and to build community and hopefully to decrease professional fatigue. It is tough right now. It's tough on a good year, and we know it's extremely difficult now for all of us with the unknowns and trying to support each other and our students. So we are very fortunate to have Max Utterberg be a part of our staff. He is the Washburn therapist that's connected to our school, and he does a lot with specific students that are on his caseload. But he can do professional development, and that's why we're tapping him to help with this. So he's going to send out an email on this. Look for his email. Look for the Google Doc if you have questions that you think would fit within this. He is not our therapist, but he can help us to collaborate and support each other to come up with ways that we can support each other and help our students. So look for that email that's going to be coming out. And Max, thank you for being willing to lead this. If it looks like something that's beneficial, we might do this more than one time going into the future. Another thing that we put together is a wellness team, and our goal for that is to use it as a resource for students and family wellness needs. So we as a wellness team will not have all the answers, but we can at least try to support our kids, try to find those answers. Maybe it's a kid that family can't go and get food for them at our mobile food site that's going to be at Westwood, and we can find some resources to try to help with that potentially. We're also going to use it for attendance if we have kids that are not able to connect, and we as teachers have tried our best with that. That's our next step to try to help with that. So you can see the members on here. We have Rachel and Renee and Leanne Doherty. Shannon is a member too because of her working with our EL kids and myself. So if you have a concern, contact one of the people above, probably Rachel or Renee. They'll kind of be the point people for that, and then we'll go from there. So just be aware of that. Westwood PTA, met with some of our Westwood PTA last week, and I just want you to know they so much appreciate all that you're doing and are already looking for ways to support us during distance learning. I talked with them. I didn't have any specific ideas right now, but if you have ideas on ways that the PTA can support us, talk to me, and maybe we can figure something out. They also wanted me to remind you that if you have receipts and you are still looking for reimbursement, you can click on this link here and get that taken care of. So just be aware of that too. All right, the next subject is a really difficult one for me to talk about. It is staffing for next year. And I apologize because I would much rather do this in the media center in the staff meeting when I can answer questions directly than through this format. I also know, well, I should say we all know with budget cuts this year, that has made it so we're losing some phenomenal staff. And I feel really bad about that. I know we as a community feel bad about that. And we know that we'll be getting some different people coming in that have, because of budget cuts, will be joining us too. I also know that there still could be some changes. We could end up adding another kindergarten class. We could also end up with another section somewhere based upon how many kids end up coming to Westwood from our new apartment complex that's going in. Be that as it may, it is difficult, but I want you to know where we are at this point heading into next year. Kindergarten and first grade are the same. We have the same teachers there. We don't have any movement. In second grade, we have Mrs. Wesleski who will be back. We have Gail Harris who will be joining us from Media High School, where she was a media generalist. We also have an open position, an LCR position that I will be posting on Monday so that we can get that one filled. Third grade, Rebecca Barlow was a reading teacher, a reading specialist, excuse me, at Oak Grove Middle School. She will be joining us in third grade along with Mrs. Bennett and Mrs. Meyer. Fourth grade, we have two teachers for next year, Mrs. Schultz and Mrs. Mundus. Fifth grade, Mr. Palmer will be moving to fifth grade, joining Mrs. Kaiser and Mr. Smallfield. That's what I know right now. So let's do our best to support our teachers that will not be with us and do our best to make our new teachers that will be joining us feel welcome too. And like I said, there still might be some movement based upon numbers. So there is the possibility down the road that we would be opening up another section. I'm hopeful that we will be doing that in some way or form. So thank you for your understanding on that. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I also included the slides I had from last week, just so that you have easy access to them, the tech support information, as well as our attendance procedures. So on a footnote, there were very, very few kids who didn't sign up, who did not participate in online learning in some way or form. We had a couple, that's to be expected, but not very many, and I really attribute that to all your work. And so thank you for all you've done to reach out to kids. Let's make sure that we're not just reaching out to kids, but that we're continue to reach out to each other and support each other and work together as we dive deeper and deeper into distance learning. Thank you again for all you're doing. I should say, our kids are very, very fortunate to have you working with them and supporting them as we head through this difficult time. But let's make sure that we're supporting each other too. Thank you. Have a great rest of the weekend.